Welcome back to another Every Kind of I Do. Now, we're going to talk about some things today. It's going to be a mishmash of a couple of things, but I really wanted to spend some time on like, how do you incorporate a pet into your wedding? Like, if you cannot take your pet with you, what could you do to incorporate your pet? So I called this episode, Where's My Dog? Adding a pet into your wedding days. So, like, this is just one example, but there's a lot of different ways that I've seen people do it over the years. Plus, when I see people and how they photograph with their pets and things like that, like a whole portrait session just with your pets. It's just great. So let's get into it. Where's my dog? So first, I also wanted to show you the kind of landscape that we're in and the wedding scape that was put together over here at the Honey Locust Farms. So as you can see, it's a big, big, big spread of lots of seating. The plates are all ready to go. They have these beautiful runners and cute little flowers all set up in this nice naturey type of setting. And it's just a lovely, lovely space for, a fairly large wedding. And this particular one was a wedding reception, so they had already gotten married. They'd done some things to move it a little quicker, and then this was going to be their really, really big celebration after the fact. And I think it's important for me as a photographer and for those of y'all viewing that every single event is important. Whether or not you went to the JP and had an after party 2 years later, like I approach every event as if this is the newest thing and I am capturing it from that same perspective of newness and celebration. So anytime I walk into a space, I'm treating it as if this was the only day it's ever going to happen. So just so preface it with that too. So when you're thinking about your little dogs, or, in this case, it's a dog, but it could be a pet of any kind. I love that they added a very special drink just for Meg. So if you'll notice, you see the little dog graphic. I think this is about the sweetest little thing ever. Like, think about all the art you could make with your pets and adding them into your wedding, right? So I think this is adorable. Super adorable. And these are subtle things that you can add in for your signage or for things like that. But also I love what they did here. This is from the engagement session that we did. We'll call it an engagement session even though they were already married. We'll call it a nice portrait session of them and Meg. So we have little Meg on a stick and we have the couples on a stick that they were setting up for a little photo booth. And so if you wanted to do photos, they had a little app set up where you just click the buttons and you could hold up your little paddles of their little heads. And I thought this was a really great way to incorporate Meg into the day. So as you can see, it was very simple to add it into your signage. And then at the next minute, you're adding it into your photo booth. Look at that little face. Look at your face. So cute. Imagine if we were doing this with your cats. Not all cats look alike. We already know that. Like there's different colors, there's different face shapes. They all have their own little personality, much like all of our pets. They all have their own little personality. How could you incorporate that into your wedding? This is just a couple of ideas. Isn't this fantastic? So I also want to note that, after we're done with the day, as things are starting to wind down, sunset's starting to happen, I wanted to take them into, we'll call it the tree line area, where we could sit there with nature for a second. And I want to note that the color tones here are these, a couple of different kinds of blues. She's got a beautiful white gown on. We're staying cozy in the tennis shoes here. There's all different kinds of ways that we can have celebrations. And whatever that means for you, the location that you've chosen, the location that you've chosen, and then the way you want to show up on your day. How comfortable do you want to be? How many colors do you want? This is kind of how I see every day. Every wedding day, whether it's a wedding reception, whether it's an elopement, whether it's I don't know. They all have different categories, but to me, it's all the same. I just need to know what to capture, who I'm capturing, and for how long. So I also wanted to show here, like, when you're when you're thinking about photos that you might want for your day, like the funny and awkward poses are also great. Like we were talking about the prom poses, and I feel like this was that moment where we had like a little prom pose where they're like, maybe they never went to prom together, but they want to do the prom pose. That's what I kind of go for here. But we can also take a minute to kind of look at their details. So we have this beautiful mixture of color tones here with this beautiful seafoamy greenish blue color with a blue shirt. But then we also, if you notice, she's got a little blue gem earrings, and she has a lot of lovely hair, including a slight purple right there in her hair. So, um, these are the little things I wanted to leave you with today. When your pets are in your wedding, you know what I forgot to add in here is their actual engagement session with the actual dog in it. So I'll come back to that another time. But what you do this is like this is what they did with the photos. So I think it's important to note that what are you going to do with your photos when you're done with them, right? Look, when I'm done with your photos, are you going to print them? Are you going to put them in a book? Are you going to incorporate them into the wedding like this? I think this is a couple of great ways to incorporate anything into your wedding, whether it's a drawing of yourselves, whether it's a drawing of your dog, like we showed you earlier. Have some fun with your pets. And if you don't have cats and dogs, then bring your lizards and your birds. Do all the things. I'm here to encourage you to do that because I think it's fun and they're part of the family too. All right. All right. I'll see you on the next episode of Every Kind of I Do. And I'm Jen with Weirdo Weddings Photography signing off. Bye bye.